Hello and welcome to the Performance Bikes Bennett's Insurance guide to the circuits we use in the MCM British Superbike Championship. I'm Virgin Mobile AOA Yamaha rider Steve Plater, and I'll be showing you the way around all the tracks. But before then, let's take a look at why you watch us week in, week out. Down the start-finish straight here into Copse Corner. Being careful on the approach, the apex is very rough and ripply. Once you get past the apex, hard on the power using the full width of the circuit, the camber drops off. You're making your way up to top gear. It's a very fast part of the circuit, a very fast entry into the left-hander. Back 2 gears, through the right, using the full width of the track, back another gear to get yourself pulled up hard on the brakes for the right-hander. This section is a very fast chicane, using the curbs as you go over there on the left, through the right, being very careful, screwing the power on nice and steady, not to high side here, very fast part of the circuit. Down the straight towards Abbey Hairpin. Again, back to second gear, big place for out braking manoeuvres. Get in there a little bit late to apex, late around the turn, get the thing stood up as soon as you can, being careful not to run over the curb there. Roughish part of the circuit, but okay to get hard on the gas as you approach, obviously down Farm Straight and under the bridge. A little bit rough on the apex here again. You can drift out nice and wide, but this next turn Priory is very rough, probably the roughest place on the circuit. Again, hugging the white line, a quick blast back on the power to Brooklands, which is the tightest corner on the circuit. Apex very late, a short squirt on the power into Luffield, hug the white line here all the way around. It feels like forever on the white line, it really does. Back on the power, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth gear through Woodcut, hopefully drifting the rear end and just getting a good drive down the start-finish straight. Down the start-finish straight here on the Brands Indy circuit. Into the first corner, Paddock Hill. Carrying a lot of speed in towards the apex, pick the bike back up, negative camber here, hard on the gas up towards Druids Hairpin. The apex is 3/4 of the way around here at Druids, so you have to wait on the white line, back hard on the gas on the approach here for Graham Hill Bend. In nice and early, bend opens up on the exit, hard on the gas, over the curbing, down the Cooper Straight. Cooper Straight, back a gear, into Surtees, holding the white line, flick right, into Clearways. Clearways is all about getting yourself set up for the exit out. So drift out nice and wide here to the left-hand side of the circuit, pick the bike back up and accelerate very hard over the crest, back down the start-finish straight. Holm Park down the start finish straight, approaching the first turn. Again, very rough on the apex. Get in there early, through the dip on the apex, accelerating hard, using the curbing. Down the short straight towards Cascades, very fast apex, back 2 gears instantly for Cascades here. A very good camber, so you can use a lot of speed through the turn to get a good drive onto the straight down towards Island Bend. A little bit of a rise here in the circuit. As soon as you go over the hump there, you're back on the brakes for Island Bend, carrying an awful lot of speed through here. A short acceleration back through to the Shell hairpin. Again, very large camber here, so you can carry speed through the turn, back on the gas nice and early on the approach towards the chicane. Chicane's important to screw off speed before you get there. Don't rush into it too hard, make the turn and get a very good drive out. And over the crest, over the hill, onto the back straight. Back straight here, you're normally up to 5th gear on the approach to Knickerbrook. Back 2 gears, carry a lot of speed through, very rough on the apex there and ripply, so being very careful with the front end. Back on the gas, up Clay Hill. Being careful with the front end, the bike goes very light there. You can, this is the fastest part of the circuit here on the approach to Druids. Double apex corner, second apex, you're sitting the bike back up, getting ready for the bike going light over the crest there. It's a short straight here, up and down over the bumps for Lodge Corner. You're getting back on the brakes very hard, hit the apex, minor negative camber just there, accelerating as hard as you can. Over Deers Leap, trying to keep the front end down, back over the start finish. Here's a shot of the Rivet Straight at Snetterton in Norfolk, the longest straight in the championship. Up the start finish straight here at Snetterton, quite a steep incline up the hill. Top gear to the second braking marker, back to 4th. Clip the first apex, run a little wide, get the bike sat up for a good drive out down the short burst down to Sears Corner. Very important to go a little bit steady into Sears Corner to get a very good drive down the Rivet Straight. Obviously a very important part of the circuit in under race conditions, because you're probably going to be slipstreaming 4 or 5 bikes, especially at the beginning of the race. You got your head down here trying to keep out the wind, second braking marker, bang, back down 3 gears. Fast approach into the chicane here, very fast left, back on the brakes, another gear down, and a good drive out towards the bomb hole. Be very careful with the front end at the bomb hole. Loads it up very hard, boom, down on the suspension, back on the gas again, up another gear. On the entry here to Coram Curve. You're hugging the white line, hug, and then back on the gas, drifting out nice and wide for the entrance to the chicane. Coming out of Russell's obviously very important there to get a good drive, but you have to be very careful. It's the only real left-hander on the circuit, and hopefully a good lap. Brands Hatch full circuit, down the start finish, into Paddock Hill Bend, again minding the camber, going negative just as soon as you hit the apex. Back on the gas at the same time, loading up the rear suspension, very hard. Hard on the brakes, into Druids. The apex here is 3/4 of the way around the turn, so you're on the white line, waiting hard on the throttle, dropping down towards Graham Hill Bend. Letting the brake off nice and early, using the full width coming out. Down Cooper Straight, heading towards Surtees, a wide entry into Surtees. You've got to get the bike picked up and get a really good drive down the back straight. Pick the bike up, be careful of the front end over the crest there, little wheelie, up to top gear down the straight, under the bridge. As you get into the bottom of the dip here, that's where you're hitting the brakes. Back 2 gears, 4th gear for Hawthorne, accelerating very early again at Hawthorne, just before the apex, getting a good drive down towards Westfield. Into Westfield, again on the gas very early, minding the negative camber, so negative here. Big drive down to Dingle Dell. Absolute blind entrance into Dingle Dell, being very careful, very rough there, mid-corner. Short acceleration through to Stirling's, good berm there at Stirling's, you can carry a lot of speed through it, hard on the gas coming out. Back down again towards Clearways. Get the bike nice and settled into Clearways, hit the apex early, drift right out wide, use the full width here, and a good acceleration, minding the crest onto the start finish straight once again. Down the start finish here at Rockingham, heading for the first chicane. back down the gearbox, flick in left, quite a tight chicane, using the curbing on the right hander there, left again, down the second straight, heading for the second chicane. Awful lot of left-handers here at Rockingham. Flick through chicane, left, right, through turn 3, being very careful on the throttle, short straight again into turn 4, another left-hander. Short straight, again accelerating as hard as you can, back down the gearbox, turn 5. Accelerating nice and early out of turn 5, trying to get the power on quickly, careful not to high side, into the hairpin, which is the first gear, slowest corner on the circuit. Get the bike turned and stood up as early as possible for this short acceleration, short burst, down to the third chicane. Get into the third chicane, clipping the first apex, flick right, a left, building and building and building, back onto the start finish now, climb back on the banking, getting on the gas as early as possible for a good lap time. Up the start finish straight here at Knockhill, big crest, nice wheelie over there towards the first turn. On the brakes very hard, you have to be careful here with Duffers dip, drops right off camber mid-corner. Down the dip, fast left, not using too much of the circuit here. Into McIntyre's, very sharp right-hander, short burst on the power. Boom, into the fast chicane, very blind entrance. Taking your time as much as possible through it and being careful not to high side as you come out. Down the short straight into Clark Curve. Clark Curve again, dropping off camber as soon as you clip the apex. Now you're accelerating very hard here down the railway straight towards the hairpin. Gets a little bit rough towards the hairpin with so many things braking all the time, cars, lorries, everything. Back to first gear for the hairpin. Quite steep uphill on the apex. Very important here to get a good drive off, uphill all the way up towards the start finish line. The start finish straight at Thruxton. Accelerating very hard, slight right hander down the straight, into the first corner, Allard. You're back to third gear for this, again accelerating very, very hard, trying to keep the back end under control. Quick left flick through to the complex section. Back to second for the first right hander, being careful not to run too wide so you can flick left. It's all about getting the bike set up here for the exit of the complex. Flick right, minding the dip on the apex as you're accelerating very hard towards Noble down this short straight. We're actually on board here with James Hayden on the R7 Yamaha, chasing John Reynolds. Through Noble, very, very fast section. Try not to drift too wide there on the left-hander into the right at Goodwood, which is the far end of the circuit. The circuit's so wide here, you have to be very careful on the gas, screwing the power on the approach to Church Corner. It's so important to get a good drive and get on the gas early, but much easier obviously when you're following. Through Church, fourth gear corner, you're back on the gas before you even get to the apex, using the full width of the circuit. There's a very long straight here, up towards the chicane, which is quite steep uphill, and the long left curve. Braking very, very hard. Oh, here comes Steve Islop, but too late unfortunately. Through chicane, back to second gear, and a good drive down the start finish once more. Here I am at Cabell Park, my favourite circuit, and that is the way to go over the mountain section. Now here's Davey Wood, Superman Davey Wood. This is a way not to do it. A good miss though. Down the start finish straight at Cabell Park, full circuit. Top gear, fast uphill approach to Coppice Corner, back to third. Getting in there nice and early, short burst on the throttle, back to Charlie's 1. Using the full width of the circuit, very important to get back for the apex for Charlie's 2. Good acceleration down the hill, down Park Straight. Good excuse for a straight, but it's actually a long dip and a long left curve. Over the hill, braking into Park Corner. Back to second gear for Park Corner, get in, hug the white line, short burst, through to Chris Curve. Again, get in here very early, hug the white line, hug it, hard on the gas in third gear, back up the gearbox, out to the outside of the track for the gooseneck. Fast approach, flick left, minding in the negative camber there. Down very, very steep hill to Mansfield. Get in there early because the track widens right out. You can use the curbing a little bit there, accelerating very hard through the left kink before you back on the brakes for the bottom of the mountain. Here's a left-hander, a good camber here. You can carry plenty of speed in, flick right, accelerate up the mountain, back off the throttle at the top for the hump, into Hall Bends. Fast approaching to the right, flick left, flick right. Now there's a big hump here, so you've got to be careful not to get the bike out of control. Back to first gear for the old hairpin. Accelerating hard, short squirt, down to Barn Corner, apex early. Track opens out so you can get back on the gas nice and early, minding the negative camber for a good drive and a good lap time. This year's round of the Motorcycle News British Superbike Championship at Mallory Park, sponsored by Bennett's. Here we are coming down the Kirkby Straight, over the start-finish line on the approach to Gerrard's, probably the longest corner on the British Superbike Championship. In here quite early, hugging the white line all the way through Gerrard's. When you get 3/4 of the way through the turn, you can drift out from the white line a little bit. Fourth gear on a 4-cylinder, accelerating very, very hard. Fifth, sixth gear down the Stebby Straight towards the S's. Back 2 gears. Again, tipping there nice and early, flick left at the chicane there and accelerate very steadily because the left-hand side of the tyre is very cold. Down to the hairpin, first gear at the hairpin, very slow section, being careful on the throttle coming out towards the bus stop chicane. Left, right, flick left out the chicane, being very careful. The camber drops rough right here at Devil's Elbow, but you're accelerating as hard as possible for a good lap time. Donington Park, full circuit. Down the start-finish straight towards Redgate. It's quite a dip in this circuit down the start-finish. Hanging out here, hanging out, a late apex. It's all about setting yourself up down Hollywood and Craner curves. Accelerating hard out of Redgate corner, using the full width of the track into Hollywood, clipping the first apex, drifting out a little bit wider. Second apex, flick left down Craner curves, minding the negative camber also. Into the old hairpin. Very fast approach, 100-mile-an-hour corner. Accelerating hard. Up with 2 more gears, under Starkey's Bridge, round Swans Curve. Very, very fast part of the circuit, carrying an awful lot of speed on the front through here. Back to McLean's. Back to 3rd gear, again accelerating very hard. You're still going uphill, all the way from the old hairpin towards Coppice. Over the crest into Coppice. Back to 3rd gear, bang 4th just here. Accelerating hard, being careful not to lose the back end down to onto the exit of the straight. Up to 6th gear, over the crest under the Dunlop Bridge. Now approaching Foggy's S's. Very big place for out braking. Back to 2nd gear, flick left, making sure you get a good drive out of here, uphill again and over the crest towards the Melbourne Loop. On the approach to the loop, if you've had a good drive again, another big place to out brake. But back to 2nd gear again. Apex quite late around the turn, 3/4 way around the turn, getting back on the throttle early. A little bit of negative camber up towards Goddard's. Biggest out braking place on the circuit. And obviously last corner. Very rough middle of the corner, so getting the bike set up as early as you can for a good drive down the start-finish straight once more.